All right, all right. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Pastor Mike, aka 90s number five, the Michael Davis. And man, I am so excited to be back on the mic. I'm figuring out something. I think sometimes it's just me. I just love music, man. Like anytime a good beat drops, man, I'm like I just want to bob my head, just move my shoulders. I need to understand sometimes that some of my guests, man, they don't like doing that. But it's all good. It's all good. I want to thank my man, Mr. Bob Gerard, for dropping by the 11th hour last week and talking about being a husband, a father, and a family man. I really appreciate that. Bob gave us some good notes and good tips about that. Because I'm gonna just say, from my perspective too, I really didn't want to talk too much. I just kind of want to let him say his thing. But man, I'm telling you, man, being a husband and a father and a family man, dude, I'm telling you, that's tough. Like it's tough, but the joys that you have, should outweigh the bad things that go on. And so, just like the old song says, I've had some good days and some bad days, but it's all about the good days, man. And I'm just telling you, there's nothing like being a husband. Yeah, there's some trials and tribulations there. Yeah, there's some ups and downs. Yeah, there's some things you got to do, but I'm telling you, there's nothing more satisfying than being a husband and being a father. Like, man, I really enjoy being a father. I really do. I like growing as a father because a lot of times, you can continue to learn as a father and then to be a family man. I'm going to tell you, like, it was really funny what Bob said. Sometimes the hardest thing is just to find the good things to do, the fun things to do, because discipline and getting on your kids, that part is easy. So I appreciate Bob for dropping by. And I'm listen, man, anytime you guys think about anything that we could talk about or focus on with our youth, family, and the community, man, just let me know. And we'll try to hit those things up because I'm trying to hit every area because my passion in my heart, that's where I'm at, is with the youth, family, and community. So today, man, we're going to talk about being a parent. Woo. Okay, let me take a breath. I'm about to jump out my chair. We're going to talk about being a parent, man. I'm telling you, whether you're a parent of somebody that's young or somebody that's a teenager or somebody that's, if you're an empty nester or somebody that's really just kind of coming into their own, man, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what generation you're in. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And so as parents, man, we need to stick together. We should just start a Facebook page just for parents. Like, parent up. Maybe that's what we should call it, parent up. Like everybody just come on and let's just click together and help each other through these times. Because I'm telling you, when my kids was little, man, I needed somebody to help me be a parent because I didn't know everything. And, I say, well, you could talk to your parent, your parent can help you through. Yes, 100% they can. But sometimes, man, it's just good to be with another parent, like somebody that's going through it exactly when you're going through it. And so, man, we should start a Facebook page, just parent up. That's what we should just call it, that everybody just get on there. We want to talk about the good things of parenting, though. No, I don't want you getting on there complaining. I already know that part. We don't want that. I want to hear about some good things that you're doing and some things that's working in your household. And maybe, we can continue to help each other. Because sometimes, whether we believe it or not, man, all of us are going through the same thing because all of us have had kids and all of us have had, the terrible twos and, the tripping teenager and, the Mr. Grown. And, so we've all walked through that if we have children. So I think it'd be kind of cool if we created a group where, parents are just kind of hanging together and just giving stories of good things. Now, we don't want to, like I said, we don't want to just talk about the bad things, but we want to talk about the good things because, I think psychologically it just helps us to know that everything is going to be all right. Because when you're in the midst of it, man, you most definitely don't feel like it is. So I just want to talk about my mom, man. Like my mom, man, I'm telling you, man, when growing up with my mom, man, it was just different, man. I know it was a different era, different times, and, things were just different. And my mom just parented differently. When I say differently, I mean, I'm sure she parented like every mom back in that era, especially a single mom trying to, raise five kids on her own. I'm sure she parented the best way she could. And, I'm telling you, my house probably had the cleanest walls in the whole neighborhood. Cause I'm telling you, by the time we got through washing them jokers, man, I'm telling you, man, my mom, she really wasn't on the discipline end as far as, getting the belt and the switch. Now she did do that. Now don't get it twisted. Now she did do that, but my mom was, more, I don't know if I'm gonna say thinking outside the box, because I think during that generation everybody kind of did that. But washing the walls, washing the baseboards, and things like that. When we got in trouble, that's kind of what she did because she ain't got time to be trying to, wrestle a brother down and chase him all through the house. She just like, no, watch them walls. Like, no, you just gonna watch them walls. Like, that's what you gonna do. And so did a lot of that, did a lot of wall washing and baseboard washing and washing them dishes and getting that kitchen clean. Man, I still remember, man, moms used to wake us up late at night. Like, hey, didn't I tell you to clean that kitchen? Get in there and clean that kitchen, and I think I told y'all that before. Like, Mom, I got school in the morning. She's like, cool. So you better hurry up and get them dishes done so you can get some sleep. So, man, I mean, that's just parenting, man. Like, she loved us, man. I'm telling you, she did love us, but that was the parenting piece that she had. And then, most of us, and I would say most of us, not all of us, but most of us still parent like our parents. I know I parent like my mom did. I'm trying to adjust and do things differently because this generation, you can't, discipline them or treat them like, like they treated us. But I still do some things that my mom did. Like, all my kids wash dishes. Like, they all wash dishes. They get mad and stuff. Like, Daddy, we got a dishwasher in the house. Yeah, we got what, 2, 4, we got 6 of them. Because each one of y'all have a pair of hands. So yeah, we got good dishwashers. But most of the time we do use the dishwasher. But man, what's wrong with you putting your hands on them dishes and getting them clean? I taught my kids how to wash their own clothes when they was like 8 and 9. Like, dude, you can wash your own clothes. Like, there's nothing wrong with teaching them things like that. So, and my mom was also great. Like, man, my mom would throw down on some food now. And I'm sure, once again, that's part of that era that she grew up in, that cooking was a big thing. But man, we used to have good times with my mom, man. She taught us a lot of stuff, man, about cooking and, and loving on your kids, man, even when you don't have a lot, just hanging out with your kids, having conversations and just talking. And, my mom worked hard. And so, today, man, I just want to talk about being a parent. And I just want to say to all parents that are out there doing it, man, keep doing it. Don't give up on your kids, man, and just keep working it. Even if you have to revert back to some of the old school stuff to make, to hopefully get through to your child. But I just want to just say, man, just be a parent. Like, don't be afraid of your kids. Like, go in and do what you need to do. So I got a couple of points that we're going to talk about today. And then just, man, I just want to see how people feel about it, because really, man, my goal is that, we just have parents who don't stop, because, unfortunately in the field that I work in, I see quite a few parents that do stop, and quite a few parents that don't understand that, this is a 50-50 game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's on both of you, and I appreciate the opportunities that God has given me to have opportunities to talk to parents and talk to kids and have opportunity to hopefully, bring families together that have maybe torn apart from some different things. But, my biggest thing is that, man, this is a family. Like, we work together. Like, I don't fix one without the other, you know what I'm saying? Because it's 50-50, it's both. So let's get this thing, kick it off. All right. So my first thing is, like, who's really in charge? Who's the boss? Okay, we have to find some peace in the house. And yes, parents, we are in charge. There's a great book out there that I really love, that I use. Is called Screen Free Parenting. And man, it just talks about being in control of your home. So, like, the way you talk to your kids and how you do things. Yeah, you're always in charge because you're the parent. And so you always have to make sure that you stay in control and you be the boss. Now, I'm not going to let my kids run my house. That's just one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to let them run my house. I'm not going to let them tell me what I am going to do and what I ain't going to do. But, they do understand that, we have to work together. And as we're working together, I'm trying to find peace. Like, how do we find peace in the midst of the storm? And so how do we understand that it's my job to be your father and it's your job to be my child? And so I have a role as a father. Yes, you have a role as a child. And if we do these things together, then, man, what would a beautiful, beautiful family look like? So I'm not opposed to discipline. I'm not opposed to that, because I'm looking at my phone because I want to read a couple of scriptures to you. So the first scripture I want to read to you comes from Ephesians 6:4. It says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Very important. Don't provoke them to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Now, I'm not gonna try to treat my child in a way that they get mad at me, because I know at the end of the day, I'm just trying to give them instructions and trying to improve on them and give them opportunity to grow in who they are. But like every kid, because I know I did it when I was growing up too. We don't look at it like that. We look at it as, you're getting on me. You're always constantly talking about me. You always constantly make me do this and do that. But they see it in one way, but we're seeing it in a different way. But if I discipline my child, or if I make my child do something, I shouldn't have to provoke them to anger. And you say, well, how you stop them from being angry? How do I stop you from being angry? Because everything that's done to you is not done out of anger. Some things, because some of us, we can't stand criticism, even if it's creative criticism, we just don't like it. We get mad about it. I can't stop you from getting mad. I'm just giving you some criticism to hopefully help you get better. That's the same thing we do with our children. Like, I'm not going to criticize you. I am trying to get you to do better. And then I'm always going to reflect. I'm telling you, my daughter, she's 14. I'm telling you, and all my kids, they all tell me this, and I love saying this because they all say the same thing. Learning how to be responsible is hard. It's hard. And you come from, depending on your background, you may have had to learn responsibility at an early age where, maybe your family's been, having to go through some different things and you've had to kind of get it going early. But when you come from a home where, you don't have to learn responsibility as early, once you start learning it, it's not easy. Like you think it would be easy, but it's not. And so my kids remind me all the time, like, Daddy, it's hard. Like, learning to be responsible is hard. And you would think, no, it's not. Like, just do what I'm asking you to do. Well, that's easy for me to say as a parent, because I do what I need to do as a parent, because I've learned how to be responsible and they are just learning it. So, I mean, something as simple as, I tell my son, like, all the time, it's like, man, you be tripping. Like, dude, just take the trash out. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, man, just take the trash out. Like, you see the trash overflowing, dude, if you walk right by the trash can. No, even worse than that. Sometimes, dude, you put trash in the trash can when it's full of trash. And so then when I have to call you and say, hey, man, you going to take the trash out? What's up with that? You going to do that? You get mad at me because I'm asking you to do something that's supposed to be your responsibility. So is it really that you mad at me that I'm getting on you for taking out the trash? Or is it really that you're mad at you that you didn't take the trash out and that I have to get on you to get you to take the trash out? Which one is it? I truly believe it's the one where you're just mad at you that you didn't take the trash out, but you take it out on me, because you're learning. Like, you're learning. I mean, transitioning from elementary school to middle school is tough. Some people can't take it. Some kids have a hard time with it because now the responsibility falls more on you. Transitioning from middle school to high school, oh my God, it's even worse because pretty much all the responsibility falls on you. But all it is doing is just preparing them. So as parents, we have to keep that discipline in mind that, I'm going to continue to discipline you only to hopefully correct you into doing things better. So I want to share one more scripture with you. Proverbs 19:18 says this: discipline your child, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death. Man, if we don't teach our kids responsibility, if we don't teach them that there are some things that they need to do, man, we are going to deal with some kids who don't want to be responsible for anything. And I see a lot of that, not just in the kids and where I work, but just in kids in general in the neighborhood. Like, you could go through the Walmart sometimes and you just see kids wilding out. And if you try to approach them very respectfully, they still bug out on you. I know I'm using some old 90 terms, but I'm just a 90s baby. Well, I'm kind of late 80s. Well, I tell you, I'm born, but anyway, so they gonna bug out on you. And I'm thinking, man, where's the discipline? Like, where's the discipline? Because first of all, I'm not afraid of my kids. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not. Well, if y'all are listening, I love y'all 100, but I ain't afraid of y'all. I'm not afraid. So I'm gonna discipline my child because I know if they don't get the discipline that they need, it could be to their detriment somewhere down the road. And so I love what Frederick Douglass says. He says this: it's easier to build strong children to repair broken men. Man, is that not so true? How many of y'all know some broken men out there? I would even say Frederick Douglass, I know he was aiming that to the men, but I would even say the same thing. I would aim that whole thing to women too. I mean, if we don't train our children at a young age or discipline them at a young age, they're not going to understand what discipline looks like. So you got to be the boss of your house. You got to be the boss, but you got to be the boss with love. You got to be a boss who understands that I am training my children to become young adults. So I can't be the hammer, which we do have some parents that, is either my way or the highway, and then we do have some parents like, well, you just tell me what you want. No, come on, man. We got to be parents. We got to step up to the plate and lead our kids in the right direction. Okay. Second point I want to say is like, are you listening? When you talk, are you listening to your children, or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? I mean, man, come on. Now that used to be me. I'm not even, I promise that used to be me. Like, yeah. I hear you. Hurry up and say what you gotta say, because once you done, I just need you to hear me. That's all I need you to do. But in honesty, we have to listen to them, because truthfully, they have feelings and emotions too. Like, they have some things on their hearts that they want to talk about. And if we are not listening to them, unfortunately, they're going to go somewhere where somebody's listening. And if we let them leave the house to go and talk to someone who's going to listen, trust me when I tell you, it's going to be hard for them to find somebody who's going to lead and guide them the way we would as a parent. So don't just be waiting on your turn to talk. You gotta make sure that you're listening to your kids so you can hear what they're saying, because they do have a lot to say, because I remember, now listen, if y'all been young just like I was young, when you was younger, you be like, man, mama don't never listen to me. Like, man, she don't never listen to what I gotta say, man. It's always just do this, do that. You don't never listen to me. And I mean, y'all remember how that felt, and so you remember back in the day, it was always like, kids are to be seen, not to be heard. Come on, how did that work out? I know we look back on that now and we laugh and we was like, it was funny, and how, mama used to smack you upside your head or push you down to the floor, tell you shut up, when you trying to talk. But man, nowadays, man, that stuff just don't fly no more. We need to listen to each other, because, my son taught me this, like, he has a point of view. Like, everything is not always the way it seems. And so if I give him an opportunity to share about, what's going on in his life, man, therapy starts there, because now we're teaching them to open up and be honest and share their feelings and share their emotions. Because, most brothers, man, I'm not even gonna leave it to brothers. Most people, man, don't know how to share, don't know how to share their feelings. And so we also have to be creative in our words. Like, we got to make sure we're not using words that are destructive or words that penetrate. The old saying says, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah, I don't know whoever made that up at the time thought that was true, but man, words hurt. Man, words are piercing, and words is what people remember. You remember what people said about you. That's why sometimes we hold grudges. We remember what's said about us, and especially if it's from a loved one. If you're a parent and you're constantly dogging your kids, and you're not giving them words of encouragement, and you're not, instructing them in love, man, how do you think that's making them feel? So Proverbs 12:18 says this: the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. A lot of times our kids sometimes they just need you to listen. And then when you do say something, it's not to continue to criticize them, or it's not to continue to beat them up, but it's like, how can you speak life into your child? How can you help heal them and make them better? I know they've done wrong, and I know they do wrong, because I did wrong and you do wrong. But how do we use our words to heal them? How do we use our words to make them better? Proverbs 1:5 says this: let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Listen, and when our children, it's hard to transition from a baby. We love our kids. I used to tell my wife all the time, when our kids were growing up, like 1 to 5, I ain't, I'm gonna get them once they turn 5, because that's when I really, really love on them, because at 1 to 5, that ain't my area. I love on them because they my babies, but when they get 5, that's when I'm gonna go in hard on them. But man, I got to start early. I got to be with them from the time they're born to the time that they die, or the time that, they step away from the house. And so every time I talk to them, even when I know that they're doing wrong, it's words of encouragement. It's how do I continue to encourage them to do better? They already know what they're doing wrong. They already know what they're not doing good at. They already know where their shortcomings are. But how can we have words of healing? How can we learn to help them as a parent? Because I don't know if you didn't get that when you grew up, when you were growing up, man, would you have loved to have had that when you grew up? I mean, I know my mom wasn't perfect. And listen, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. But what I try to do is always try to use words that are encouraging. And I always try to listen to my kids when they talk to me. Now, when they talk to me, I really try to home in and listen to what they're saying. Not what I think they're saying, but I want to listen to what they're actually saying, because really a lot of our children could be crying out for help for us or to us, and we really don't even hear them. Like, we really don't hear them because we're just waiting for our turn. But we've got to learn to listen to them. And I'm not saying that we do what they say. I'm just saying we just need to listen and hear where their heart is, because a lot of times what they're needing is in their verbiage. And even if their verbiage is not the way we want it, we still have to understand they're still talking to us for a reason. Okay, who cares the most? Love is more than just the word, it's the word in action. Okay. Love is not just the word, but it's the word in action. So, 1 Peter 4:8 says this: above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. Here, this word is not so much as an emotion of love, but it's the action of love. So emotionally, I can love my kids. Like, I can say I love my kids, but does my actions reflect that love? So here the writer is saying it's not just about you saying that you love people, but it's about your actions. Do your actions say that you love? So if I say I love my kids and I say that I want to do my best for my kids, well, let's just leave it at this. If I say I love my kids, then not only will I say it, but I'll also do it even when they make mistakes. Mm. Even when they make mistakes, I'm still going to love them, because I know love covers a multitude of sins. And so, what do you mean by multitude? That means like you can't even add up the things that they could do that would make you stop loving them. Praise God. I'm gonna just say it like that. I praise God that my personal kids haven't done anything, too bad. They've done enough, for me, but my love would never stop for them. And I see it all the time. I mean, you just have to YouTube some stuff sometimes and see some parents that deal with children who are excuse me, who have done some things that are really, really bad, but they still love them. Like, how do you stop loving somebody? Because love cures, Lord. Love covers. Man, I'm telling you, if you love somebody, so, don't just say you love your kids, man, make sure that you are walking that out too, because the most important part is that not only they need to hear that. Yes, that's true. They need to hear you say that I love you, but man, they also need to see that too. And so one of the best ways to show the love is through rough times. Like, when your kid gets in trouble in school, I mean, I don't care if they got in trouble for the 100th time, can you still love them? I don't care if your kids have been doing some things, that you don't approve of. Can you still love them? Because if this relationship that we want with God, to say, love me in the midst of my trials and tribulations, love me in the midst of the things that I do. Yes, God says, I'm still going to love you, but I still need you to stop doing the things that I don't want you to do. Yes, son, I love you, son. I love you from the bottom of my heart, but I have to get you to stop doing the things that you're doing, because the things that you're doing are destructive. Now, if I use words of criticism and words that beat my son down, and then words that don't encourage in him, that does not encourage him, it's going to be tough for him to stop. It's just going to be tough, because not only am I his parent and he sees me as a different role, but it's also going to be tough because he is expecting love from me, not just to hear me say that I love him, but he wants to see that love. And you say, well, they don't love me back. I mean, they're in the process of learning. I mean, I don't expect my 18-year-old and my 17-year-old and my 14-year-old to really understand what that really looks like. That's why I have to train him. That's why I have to show him. Like when my son does something that I don't like, it's not for me to go beat him down, but it's to, first of all, it is to remind him what he done, which I'm going to do that. Secondly, it is to remind him that he can do better. And thirdly, it's going to remind him that I love you and we're going to keep working on this until we get it right. So I'm not going to just tell him that I love him, but I'm going to show him that I love him because it's my job to do that for him. So listen, one of the movies that I want to use as an example, and it as a whole, I think the movie was a great movie. I really do. I think the movie was a great movie, but I just want to talk about this one scene that I think, and I could be misinterpreting it, but I've watched this scene several times, and I think I'm pretty close about what I'm going to say about the scene. If you've seen the movie Fences with Denzel Washington, you well, I'm telling you, that character alone was tough. I'm telling you, that he was just a product of where how he was raised and what he went through, and in that time and era, and it reflected out in his parenting. And so he kind of, what I'm talking about is kind of what he does in this, is that, you remember the scene when the son comes out and he's building the fence, and the dad, Denzel starts going in on the son about, this and that. And then the son says this, he says, "Why don't you like me?" Dude, that is so crazy. I mean, for his son to say, "Why don't you like me?" And then, Denzel goes on to say, "I don't have to like you. I don't have to, but I have a responsibility as your father." He goes through the whole thing, like, we used to go, "Boy, don't you have a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food on the table?" We go through all of that because, like Denzel said, that's my responsibility. That's my responsibility as your father. I don't have to like you. Don't I do all the things for you? But see, he's talking in the role of responsibility. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. And as parents, yes, as our role as parents, yes, we provide food, clothes, shelter. We provide rods. We provide, sickness and health. We provide help with that. That's what we're supposed to do, because yes, that's our role. Now, a lot of you can say, but I think where Denzel missed it was his son wanted him not only to say this, but he was waiting on him to show it. I love you. He didn't care about the responsibilities, man. He didn't care about all that. He know that. He know that's what you're supposed to do, because as a parent, but he was waiting on his dad to say, "I love you." That's what he was waiting on. That's what he was wanting, because for him to even ask, "Do you like me?" meant that for Denzel, I'm just saying that in this movie, in this role, his son didn't feel loved. He just didn't feel loved. So he had to ask his dad the question. And for his father not to reassure him that "I love you," no, he just goes down the list of what he's doing. Don't that show you that I love you? Man, come on, man. That's, I could tell my wife, if I never tell my wife that I love you, if I never show her that I love you, if all I tell her is, "Hey, don't I pay the bills? Don't I do this? Don't I do that?" Hey, then I love you. But that ain't gonna work. That's not even gonna work with our kids, because if they can't see my love in action, not just because of your responsibility as a parent, but how do you love me in the tough times? But how do you show me love when I'm going through? How do you show me that you love me? Not only that, you can't even tell me you love me. And that's part of what, the character that Denzel was playing. You go through the whole movie, you can see kind of how he was raised and kind of some of the things he went through. So because he didn't get it, so he don't show it. But he says he shows it through the things that he do, because it's my responsibility. And so if you go on through the movie, he goes on and talks about all these other things. And he says this is a part that really blows me. He says, I can't remember the gentleman's man. He said, "Don't the man down there who give me my paycheck, he ain't got to like me. He give me a paycheck because of what I do. The world don't have to like you. You just need to learn to do." That's true. That's 100%. I say that's 200% true. The world does not have to like me, but I need you to like me. man, you my dad. Like, you're my dad. I need you to like me. The world don't have to like me. You know, the world don't even have to love me, but I need you to do that. Come on, parents, what we really doing? I mean, to me, I'm just saying for me. I'm just saying for me. I'm just saying for me. Again, once again, I am saying for me. That's where I think we miss it sometimes as parents. No, you're right. The world don't have to like me. The world don't even have to love me, but I need my parents to like me, and I need my parents to love me. Because if my parents don't like me and the world don't like me, if my parents don't love me and the world don't love me, where do I get it? Where do I get it? Where do I get it? So I'm going to get it wherever I can get it. And unfortunately, sometimes with our young people, it's getting it through the drugs, it's getting it through the alcohol, it's getting it through the gangs, it's getting it through, you know, unprotected sexual relationships, it's getting it through relationships that are not healthy. They're going to find it. And when they find it, it's not going to be the love that you wanted them to have. But come on, parents, if we don't show them the love, what are they supposed to do? So that mindset that he had in that movie, I'm saying just for me, is what we've been missing. Okay, say it until they get it. Don't be afraid of them. It must be said, but say it in love, not frustration and pain. You know, our kids do frustrate us. You know, they frustrate us. They make us upset, but we can't respond out of frustration and pain. We have to remember that we are the parent, that we're in control of this, and how we conduct this train is usually where this train is going to go. So it's not so much as, you know, I'm afraid of him, or if I say this, oh my God, you know, no, it's more like, let me help you, but I'm not going to get mad at you. I mean, I'm going to be upset. So let's clear the air. I mean, I'm going to be upset, but what I'm going to do is learn to even train you and encourage you through my frustration. All right, Philippians 2:3-4 says is, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you in the interest of others. So before I missed this one passage of scripture, I wanted to share with you 1 Thessalonians 5:12. It's 5:11. It says this, therefore encourage one another and build each other up just in the fact of what you are doing. You know, remember I said Frederick Douglass says it's easier to build a strong child than it is to repair a broken man. This passage says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up. If we take the time to build our children the way they need to be built, we won't have to repair them at the end of the day. You know, we don't take the time to understand that it's a process for everybody. You know, it's a process for our children, and it's a process for a parent. You know, anything you build nice doesn't come easy. It takes a while. You know, anything that you build, it takes a while. I'll even, you know, when you go out and buy expensive stuff that costs a lot of money, it took a while for them to build it. That's why some of these expensive cars, they cost so much, because people are handcrafting the seats and the steering wheel and, you know, the dashboard and the seats. Man, they're doing it by hand. Oh, that's going to cost you, because it takes a while. You know, the jewelry that you buy, the clothes that you buy, that sometimes are, if you get it, let me say, if you get it tailor made, like from scratch, it's going to take a while. And it's going to take a lot of hard work to get that done. But when it's done, you expect it to be good and perfect. Our kids, man, it takes a while. They're not going to pop out the oven in 3 days and they're going to be the way we want them to be. It's going to take time, and it's going to take years, but you have to keep building. You have to stay with them. You have to stick with them, and you have to keep encouraging them. There's one thing that I want y'all to understand is that, you know, that scene in that movie is what happened with his son. If you, and I hope I'm not being a spoiler alert for anybody, but if you remember the movie, at the end of the movie, and if I'm correct, the son didn't even want to come to his funeral. I mean, he didn't even want to come. That's because when he should have been loving and encouraging and building his child up, he was tearing him down. He was breaking him. Now, he was breaking him on the inside emotionally. He was breaking him. And so, man, the dude didn't want to come back to the funeral. And then when he did come back to the funeral, he wasn't a happy camper because he still wanted to know why. I don't ever want my kids to wonder, or I don't ever want my kids to have to ask anybody else about our relationship. Last thing, and I'm going to be done. It says, parents, it never ends. You can never stop being the parent, just like they can never stop being the child. They'll live on, and so will you. Never give up on each other. We are in this thing together as a family. I'll tell my kids all the time, I'll never give up on you because, first of all, because, God never gives up on us. And so I never give up on my kids. I mean, even when they do things that I don't approve of, even if they say things that really makes me bitter, I'm not going to ever give up on my kids because they're my family and I love them. And, it's not about fixing them. It's about fixing us. If I have to readjust my parenting to help cultivate, to help create a moment in them that helps them learn, I'm willing to do that. That's maturity in me. That's not me giving up to them and giving them what they want. No, that's maturity in me saying, hey, look, my parenting is not working right now. So let me switch up what I do so I can connect and talk to my children in a way that would help them. So I'm willing to do that. So, and I hope that you're willing to do that too. Come on, let's be some parents. I'm serious about this thing, man. We should create a movement where parents are just hooking up with each other and just encouraging each other to be parents, because sometimes, yes, parents, yes, we do want to give up. Yes, sometimes we just want to kick them out the back door, lock that joker, and say good luck. I mean, because they do push us to that boiling point, but we can't do that. We have to be there for them. I mean, yes, once they turn 18, they can go do what they want to do, but guess what? They still your child, and we still have to be there for them. All right, y'all, that's what's popping. That's what we talking about today. Hey, check us out on social media, man. Here's the phone number, 615-295-8785. I love to hear from you one day, whether you just send a text and say, dude, I love your post. Man, I like what you're talking about. Keep it up. Anything that you can do, man, hit us up on the podcast, share it, subscribe to it. If you want to, like it, help us make this thing, be a movement. You know what I'm saying? So go make more movements, not just moments. That's what it's all about. This your boy, Pastor Mike, the Michael Davis, aka 90s number 5, and I'm out. Peace.